Here we are at the Dighton Rock Museum in Berkley, Massachusetts, and you're looking at the Dighton Rock. And I'm here with the
one
of the park supervisors. Can you tell me a little bit about the museum and the rock and some of the theories behind the rock?
Sure. The Dighton Rock was situated in the Taunton River. It's made out of sandstone, and it was, sort of the blackboard for the Taunton River. Everybody used to sign their name in as they were coming up the river. So in 1963, the museum was actually built around where the rock is. The rock was raised out of the water. It was put on this cofferdam, and so now that it's protected from the elements from further damage. So.
And this is a language which nobody really knows, and there's been numerous theories about what language it is. The Portuguese, that was claimed that it was some Portuguese explorers in 1511?
1511, the Court Real brothers were said to have come to the New World and disappeared, and this was maybe the theory of what eventually happened to them. And then there's also the American Indian theories of their inscriptions on the rock, and also Viking and Phoenician.
The Vikings, no, we knew the Vikings did come up and down the coast of New England.
Yeah.
And there's some remains, I think, in Newport, Rhode Island, and they might have settled in Martha's Vineyard and so forth. But they weren't here to stay. They were probably here to trade and what have you. So there's lots of interesting tales. But the other one is the Phoenicians, and that would have been well before Columbus. Obviously, the Vikings would have been about 1000 A.D., and the Phoenicians would have been before Christ.
I would assume so.
So anyway, I'm just going to well, thank you. And how would people find out about this? I know you're only open by appointment. So
it's open by appointment only, but you can contact the Freetown State Forest, and we do come over and we open up the museum.
And would that be year-round or just seasonal?
Yes, year-round.
Year-round, okay.
During the season, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we do try to keep the museum hours open, but staffing is limited. So, but
and you do have,
but it's always open by appointment.
You do have school groups and other groups that come here pretty much year-round.
Yeah, they call us to say when they're going to be here. We open it up for them.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, we're going to take just a little walk. I'll read some of the posters here and get a better handle on it. So these would be the various theories. Phoenician in 1781, Antoine Court de Gébelin, a French scholar, proposed a Phoenician origin for the inscriptions, and here he was sort of basing his theory on some of the things he saw on the rock. And then the American Indian, what might be one of the better examples. Of course, the New England Indians didn't have a written language, but of course they had pictures and such. And then, well, here's a picture of the rock here. It was in the water up until they built this park in 1963, and they just simply raised it and built this nice little pavilion around it. The Dighton Rock and its inscriptions have been the object of curiosity and controversy for over 300 years. For centuries, the boulder sat in the mud at this point in the Taunton River, its broad westward surface tempting passerbys to carve their messages. Over 20 theories of the origin of these inscriptions have been suggested. 4 of the most popular of these are presented in the following panels. Through drawings, photographs, and direct quotations, theories are presented supporting the American Indian, Norse, Phoenician, and Portuguese sources. We invite you to study each theory, then view the rock, and draw your own conclusions about the rocks. And there are several books that have been written on this subject. So here, the Portuguese theory, which may be the most realistic one. It was conceived in 1918 when Edmund de la Barre, a psychologist at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, detected the date 1511. I saw it clearly and undoubtedly the date 1511. No one had ever seen it before in the rock or photograph, yet one seen its genuine presence on the rock cannot be doubted. And then the Norse Viking, as I said earlier, there were definitely Vikings that had sailed up and down the New England coast, some cases trading with the Indians. I know there was even some skirmishes with some of the Indians, and they believe they may have settled in Newport, Rhode Island for a short time in Martha's Vineyard. And we're just going to take a quick little walk out to give you an idea of what the park looks like and the Taunton River.